All right, guys, good morning. Happy Wednesday. So today, Wednesday, kind of being midweek, not a bad idea if you're kind of looking at this the night before to plan, getting here maybe a little bit early to do some additional kind of warm-up mobility work. Maybe after yesterday, you're feeling a little bit in your shoulders from all that overhead, or still maybe some lingering soreness from Monday with that front squat, back squat, kind of heavier in terms of the series. So not a bad idea to get here maybe a few minutes early to do some mobility and just make sure you're feeling kind of nice and loose, getting through the middle of the week here. But for today, we're going to start with our WOD and then do a little bit of EMOM gymnastics, kind of core work here to finish out our time. But today what we're going to do is 8 rounds for time. So again, a little bit heavier in terms of our round sequence. So maybe not a bad idea to get a board with some hash marks in it or some chips to count your rounds. We're going to do 45 double unders, or in terms of modifications, depending on where you're at, we'll say 2 to 1 singles, so 90 singles, or 30 or 45 target jumps. Or if you are kind of in that balance, you can string a few double unders together. Let's do 30 seconds of kind of double under practice for that. Then we'll go to 30 air squats. Again, being these just air squats, let's really make sure we hit full depth, right? Some of the things we talked about is just making sure we kind of squeeze our butt cheeks at the very top. That helps make sure that we extend our shoulder or extend our hips prior to going down to that next air squat. Finally, 15 calories for the men, 12 for the ladies. You're going through this 8 times, right? So be fairly aggressive in terms of trying to hit that that goal, right? Maybe 2 to 3 minutes or so, 2.5 minutes or so around. But we're going to cap it at 22 minutes. Okay. Once you finish that, take whatever rest you need, and then kind of on your own, maybe have someone designate the clock to just beep every 2 minutes, or just have it run and just kind of manage it on your own. But we're going to do 15 GHD sit-ups. We'll hit on the points of performance for the GHD here shortly. Then with the remaining time, we're going to do max effort, distance of handstand walks. Okay, we're going to say 5 feet equals 1 rep. So 5 feet, just to give you context, if you could see kind of what we're talking about, but each beam to beam, I believe, is 25 feet. So you would just kind of count off kind of 5 feet in sequential order there. So if you were to make it 1 pass of the beam, that would be 5. 1 beam to the next beam, that would be 5 reps. For that. So again, we'll talk about some modifications for today, as well as kind of the warm up here in the subsequent video. All right, guys, again, suggested warm up for today. You don't have to do this per se. If you have something that you're feeling needs a little bit more work in terms of mobility, stretching, or warming up, feel free to implement that. But a good kind of target in terms of some range of motion pieces to get us ready to go. Let's start with 500 meters of our rower. So we need the rower for the workout. So let's go ahead and grab that prior to start. We'll do 15 penguin taps. Again, just making sure we're really pushing through our toes, warming up our calves. Then we'll do 2 minutes of double under practice. So depending on where you are, we'll have a clock running for you for there. And then again, just kind of gauge 2 minutes or so of practice. See if you can kind of string a few together to where maybe you might give it a go in the workout today. And then we'll do 10 Cobra Dog transitions, followed by 30 seconds of a plank hold. Again, the plank hold you can do in a strong push-up position or on your elbows, whatever you prefer, followed by 15 sit-ups. So again, just kind of a target warm-up for you for today. Feel free to add, adjust as you see fit. All right, guys, what we'll do is we'll talk about the points of performance specific to the GHD. If you're gonna give the GHD sit-ups a go today, kind of hit on some things we really want to make sure you focus on. Again, if you're not extremely comfortable with GHDs, you just don't really feel good kind of getting inverted, going upside down, good modifications, right, would be weighted ab mat / med ball sit-ups, or just standard sit-ups as well, is kind of your 2, I think, most appropriate modifications. So med ball sit-ups or standard ab mat sit-ups. But if you are going to do the GHD, a couple things we just want to start with is going to be the positioning of the GHD itself. So if you notice right here, I have my feet hooked under here. I'm kind of flexing my toes up. Kind of the back of my butt is hanging off, right? Sometimes people kind of get where their butt cheeks are still on. Really want to have that kind of sit off, right? But I want to be able to maintain a bend in my knee when I'm all the way up. What I'm going to do is when I'm going to go back, right? I'm going to touch the floor. Notice my knees are bent. And then I use the driving or the pushing down of my knees to fire my core up, right? So go down with bent knees, really fire, aggressive. Those knees should fire down. It should almost pop up. Kind of going down right here. as we fatigue, we end up kind of pulling with our calves, using our toes as that anchor to come up. We really want to avoid that at all costs. So again, going down, bent knees, popping up, touching the floor, and then touching in front of our toes. So that's the GHD setup. All right, now let's go ahead and hit on the component of the handstand walk. I'll kind of hit on some progressions that I think are really helpful depending on kind of where you are in the cycle of learning that handstand walk position. So I'm gonna start maybe at the most advanced progression and then kind of work my way back toward like our wall walks that we do in here often. One of the things I like to help members do is, if they're comfortable getting upside down, that's part of the skill, but really more than anything, the hardest part is getting them comfortable with getting down safely. So again, that's usually once they hit that point of fatigue, how do I get down without kind of falling or collapsing? I think the wall is a really good tool to help us with that. So what I like to have members do, and you guys can do this today, just find space after you do your GHD sit-ups, is kind of flirt with how far back you can get from the wall and walk your hands up to the wall. Because again, the wall is gonna be that safety net for you, right? That's gonna keep you from toppling over. So what I tell members to do is start real close, right? I'm gonna try to use, it's probably hard to see from this angle, but I'm gonna use this white marker on the floor here as my starting point. And I'm gonna kick up, right? And then I'm gonna get here, pause, and then nice controlled kick down. As that gets more comfortable, I'm just gonna start farther and farther away from the wall, getting to the point to where my feet make contact with the wall, and then I step down nice and comfortable. So as that gets more comfortable, you can get farther and farther back, right? And that's just the big thing on being able to control being upside down, being controlled with our hands, stepping, and then also once we want to come down, coming down in a controlled fashion. So that's using the wall as kind of an advanced progression for the handstand walks. Maybe for you today, you're just trying to get upside down. I really like the wall walk, which we do often in here for warm-ups, as well as other progressions. Again, what we want to do for that wall walk is we want to start with our hips and our chest on the floor, really using this wall as our anchor point and getting up the top. Really try to push through your shoulders. And then again, that common theme today, really being controlled on your way down. So what I want to make sure, guys, is whatever modification you pick today, make sure you're doing it in a controlled fashion, right? Handstand walking is an extremely safe movement to build to, as long as you're just being cognizant of making sure you're going up controlled and you're coming down controlled. So again, using the wall as kind of our safety net in terms of learning the step progression, walking to it, or going back and doing wall walks. Again, if you were to ask how many wall walks did you do, obviously it's going to be reflective of how much time you have remaining in the 2 minutes. So planning this out, I think you want to give yourself at least 20, maybe 30 seconds of rest. So if it takes you, a minute and a half to do your sit-ups and your wall walks, whatever number that is on the wall walk, I would just try to make sure you give yourself, like I said, 20 to 30 seconds before that next 2-minute interval starts, okay?